Is Matheus Cunha about to be Manchester United's first summer signing? Talks are advancing, personal terms are close, and Amram's rebuild might be kicking off early. Behind the scene works continues on a striker. Romano gives an update on Osimhen. United's transfer list is revealed, including some familiar names, and United are ready to trigger Mastantuono's £38 million release clause. This is all your latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you up to date with everything. Welcome to the channel. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video. Let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with the Matheus Cunha news. This is the big breaking news that's going around at the moment. So Manchester United are inching closer to an agreement with Wolves forward Matheus Cunha over a move to Old Trafford. United will still need to activate the Brazilian's £62.5 million release clause, but are hopeful of having terms in place by next month while they still have headroom under profit and sustainability rules. The Mail Sport revealed Newcastle United have been the main competitor for Cunha's signature, and they were keen to utilise him on the left of their attack, but the 25-year-old looks to have been swayed by the prospect of playing a pivotal role in Ruben Amorim's squad revamp. Now, that originally broke yesterday from Simon Jones in the Mail. Simon Jones is a good source, been very credible in the past regarding United news and transfer news as well. So, but then we had the man himself, Fabrizio Romano, kind of confirming that that is correct. So he tweeted the following, or X'd the following: Manchester United are leading the race to sign Matheus Cunha. Negotiations are ongoing. Personal terms are being discussed, and there are good feelings after initial contacts between United and Cunha. And then Romano later in a video yesterday had the following to say: so in the last 48 hours, Manchester United had fresh positive contacts with the agents of Matheus Cunha. The feeling between Ruben Amorim and Cunha is excellent. There was some sort of great connection between United, Amorim, and Cunha. And then he also said that Manchester United will push to get the deal done for Matheus Cunha soon. Talks are advancing. Now that's a massive update regarding Matheus Cunha. We'll go through the rest of the news regarding it in a second, because there's a few more bits and pieces I want to kind of run through. But what do we think of that? Let me know in the comments. So according to, firstly, Simon Jones in the Mail, if I go back, there was a point I wanted to kind of make on here. Obviously broke the story saying, look, we're edging closer. Cunha wants to come. United apparently now want Cunha. That's been confirmed by Romano, because you don't hold talks with a player or his agent if you're not interested in signing him. But also it said that they have the headroom under profit and sustainability rules. Now, remember with Cunha, he's got a release clause, so we do not have to negotiate with Wolves. We need to negotiate with the player first and get his contract kind of settled and sorted. And then we kind of can speak to Wolves, because effectively we'll just have to pay the release clause. But the interesting thing from Simon Jones was saying that that they want to get it done next month while they still have headroom under profit and sustainability rules. So does that mean that United have the money to get this deal done early, which is also what Romano was suggesting as well, that he was saying that he doesn't expect this to be a story that drags on until July and August or until the last day of the transfer window. He was saying that he expects this deal to be done fairly quickly, i.e., before, maybe as soon as the transfer window opens, which would just be, that's insane for me, the fact that, not that we're getting Cunha, he's got a release clause, he's obviously a good player and stuff, right? But if we get that deal done early as well, when was the last time United signed a player, like a top target as well? Because Matheus Cunha will be a top target for us. Before, even the season's ended, got that deal kind of lined up, which I've got to give a shout out to Ineos and the recruitment team and stuff for doing, if they get that deal done before the season is even over and at the beginning of the transfer window. Because how often do we sign these players and they're not in time? They're not in for pre-season a lot of the times as well. We're dragging deals on to August, and then you're like, okay, well, now they need to come in. Now they need kind of time to get their fitness and all this kind of stuff as well. So that would be an insane move for me to kind of get the deal done as quick as we are, which kind of, again, the other question mark, where we're getting the money from, I do not know, whether that's player sales, whether the kind of all the job losses and the cutbacks and everything they've been doing has kind of given us loads more wiggle room in PSR, and this is what they were kind of talking about, to say, well, actually, look, in order to progress the team, we need to make these kind of cutbacks and stuff. Who knows? We're not I'm not a Man United financial expert, just a fan with a microphone. So that would be really, really interesting. But give us your thoughts on Cunha. In the comments, do you think good signing, bad signing? Do you think it's possible? I mean, if Romano's saying, look, that the talks between they had a great connection between United, Amram, and Cunha. It stands to reason that this one might be one to definitely pay attention to. Like, I'm quite optimistic that this might be one that's that we do, and it looks like we might want to do it early as well, which is insane to me. So, but yeah, give us your thoughts in the comments and smash a like on the video if you think Matheus Cunha is going to be a good signing for United. Let's run through his stats. So, statistically, he's a very, very good player. Oddly, like, I did a video before when Matheus Cunha was the most walked Premier League footballer, right? Which means he spends more time walking than any other player in the Premier League. But he's still in the top 74 percentile for interceptions and 80 for clearances. So I don't understand that stat. That must be one of these weird kind of data. Maybe he's walking forward or walking into different positions in the attack and stuff. Like, I don't kind of get it. But then Amram's worked his magic with, like, Garnacho, for example, in terms of work rate and stuff. Like, look how well he's working in the press and getting back to help defend and stuff. That's actually one of Amram's kind of, things that he's done with a lot of players at United as well. So that was a concern of mine, but maybe not so much because clearly Amram wants him. If he's going to be the first, effectively could be the first summer signing. Big outlay as well. Big 62.5 million pounds is not small change neither as well. But in terms of the attack game, where you would want him, progressive, successful take on 76, 72 for progressive passes. He's up there in the top for goals, assists. Very, very good player. He is a really good player. He would definitely be one that would improve our attack. But then I think, that wouldn't be difficult at the moment, would it, to improve our attack? But one of the other things I kind of looked at is not just his stats for this season, but in total, this is for Wolves. So this is in the Premier League because he's coming up to 26. He's going to be 26 next month. So he's currently 25. He'll be 26 next month. 87 total appearances, 32 goals. 13 assists, and he's, like I said, he's coming up 26 next month. Can play, obviously, he knows the system as well, which is a pro. He Wolves play the 3-4-3, same as us. He plays on the kind of left side of that. He can play as a striker as well. He spent a lot of time as striker at Atletico before signing for Wolves, although he wasn't that productive there as well. I looked at I think he only got 7 goals and 7 assists and like 80 odd appearances up front for Atletico, but has been doing the business in the Premier League. Last season, if you look at the stats, 32 league appearances, 12 goals, 7 assists. This season, 28 appearances, 14 goals, 4 assists. So he's on last 2 seasons consistently been averaging around 20 goal contributions. So Premier League proven, and it's not like a one season kind of thing because he got very similar numbers last season as well in the Premier League. So he's been doing it for a while. He's at the right age. He is a really good player to kind of bring in as well. Yes, there are concerns, but there are concerns with every single player. His disciplinary record, yes, obviously that'll be a question mark as well. But when you look at it, someone mentioned this in the comments actually the other day, so shout out to you, was that he's only had 2 red cards. Do you know what I mean? And yes, both been this season, both for violent conduct, which is a bit of a worry, but it's not like he's got a track record of doing it season upon season. So maybe we just put it down to the circumstances, the pressure. He's kind of saved Wolves almost by himself for relegation as well. So he is a player that I think that, I like the idea of this deal as well. I don't want to get dragged too much in though, because there's a lot of overhype, I think, going on with him. We'll need to wait and see how he kind of gets on. But he's a good player, Premier League proven, experienced for the position in the squad that we need. Everything kind of makes sense in that regard. And yes, there are a few concerns, but that's the same with any signing that we make. There's going to be concerns. One thing that's definitely not a concern is his injury record as well, which is pretty elite. Hardly misses any games as well. Touch wood, don't want to jinx it, but it brings that bit of edge. But I'd be amazed if we pull this off before the season ends. That's not the United we know. This is effectively Ineos's first summer. Yes, they were there last season, but everyone was in late. Barada, Dan Ashworth came and gone, and all these kind of people weren't in at the beginning of the transfer window. They couldn't officially join until like July. So they were, while I think we had a good summer last summer, a lot of the deals we got done were a little bit towards the end of the window. Whereas this will be one where, with Ineos in, this is the summer where we're going to see what they are actually all about, and if we pull this deal off, then then we could be in for a good one, couldn't we? But yeah, give us your thoughts in the comments below. Now, Laurie Whitwell, in terms of salary, said that Matheus Cunha is on a salary of around £150,000 a week at Wolves, so obviously he's going to expect a pay rise to come to United, but I don't think it's going to be crazy sort of wages. Going off of that, maybe around the 200. I think that's what we're paying around Delap. That's kind of figure as well, which is another kind of tick in the box for me. And then Alex Crook said that Arsenal, Newcastle, and Nottingham Forest have all registered their interest in Matheus Cunha. However, Cunha's preferred summer destination is Manchester United. So that is looking. It's looking good, I think. Romano coming in saying that they've held talks with his agents, positive talks. Simon Jones is a good source as well, suggesting that we're inching closer to the deal. Takeaways are, though, as well, that they are looking to get this deal done as soon as possible, as soon as they can, maybe even as soon as the transfer window opens, which is insane, which shows that we do have the budget available for this year. And this will be this year's PSR rules as well, because that resets in July. Obviously, this is all what we're going off of from the reports. It could change. It could not be the reality of the situation, because all news is bullshit until it's not. But that's massively exciting. But give us your thoughts on the Matheus Cunha move in the comments. It'd be interesting to hear your opinions on that later. Now let's move on to some other transfer news. So Simon Jones in the Mail piece also said that they have also held discussions over Napoli's Victor Osimhen, Red Bull Leipzig's Xavi Simons, and Benjamin Sesko, Eberechi Eze of Crystal Palace, and Antoine Semenyo at Bournemouth, as they draw up lists of all scenarios. So these are all the players that we have been linked with recently. If you're a subscriber or you're watching previous videos, you'll know all of those names that we've been linked with over the past probably couple of weeks, to be fair, and beyond that as well. But Simon Jones suggesting that they're drawing up a list of all scenarios, and that is what I think they're kind of doing. We've mentioned this before, where they're looking at transfer window A, which is maybe no Champions League football, and transfer window B, which is Champions League football, because that increased budget and prestige and everything that goes with Champions League means that maybe you can get one or two of the top players, but then if you don't, maybe you're scraping around to try and fit players within your budget. But clearly, regardless, we've got the money to go and get Cunha, because why would we speaking to his agent and doing all of that when we know the price for Cunha? It's not like we speaking to the agent, then we're going to go to Wolves and say, oh, do you want 20 million quid? And try and haggle and get like a bargain deal done. We've got to pay his release clause. So we've clearly got the funds available to do that regardless. It's just then if we get Cunha, and we don't get Champions League, for example, maybe we're looking at cheaper options like Delap. There's news on him we'll go through in a second, who's £30 million, or Patrick Schick, someone like that who's going to be relatively cheaper, or Mateta. Do you know what I mean? Like these sort of names where the striker option is going to be a little bit cheap, or do we go for a cheaper 10 like a Ryan Cherky and maybe pay Cunha up front? Like there's loads of different variations you can do, and some of those players on that list we are kind of interested in. It's just how much is the interest genuine or not, but then also a lot of it will depend on the budget in the Champions League as well. Now on Victor Osimhen, there's been another kind of story coming out from a Turkish journalist. Again, these Turkish journalists that have been mentioned on here, they've all got very large followings as well. They're not just ones that have got like a couple of thousands. They've all got like 100, 200, 300,000 followers on X. I don't know the credibility personally though. But suggesting that Manchester United have reached an agreement in principle with Victor Osimhen, so another Turkish kind of journalist suggesting that there's some sort of deal maybe done in principle with Osimhen, and this could be going back to what we mentioned on the transfer list before. Maybe they are kind of talking to Osimhen and getting a deal lined up, so that if they do get Champions League football, maybe they do go for Osimhen, because the as I mentioned, the increased funds and the prestige and stuff like that as well. That would be insane, wouldn't it, if we got Osimhen and Cunha done? But then if we don't get Champions League, maybe it's Delap because of the budget, and Osimhen might not want to come if it's no Champions League football. We've got to factor in the players don't all want to come to United if there's no Champions League football involved as well, which is mad. But Romano also said that Manchester United are interested in Victor Osimhen, but there is no agreement at the moment. United are waiting to see if they will qualify for the Champions League to understand how much they can invest on a striker in the summer. So Romano kind of confirming what I just mentioned there, really, that we are talking to these players. We're maybe interested in Sesko and Xavi Simons and all these kind of players as well, but a lot of it might depend on Champions League football. If we get Champions Champions League, then maybe we do have the budget to go and get like an Osimhen or a Sesko or something like that. And if not, maybe we're looking at Mateta or Delap. Delap seems to be the favourite because of his cost and stuff like that as well, which, you know, it is what it is, and I suppose that's, you know, United need to do that. We can't put all our eggs in the Champions League basket, because if we don't, then we're screwed and we're behind on other deals. So I think they are working on a lot at the moment behind the scenes. And just on Delap, United also hope to sign Ipswich Town's Liam Delap, but are facing increasing competition for his signature as Chelsea and others consider activating his £30 million release clause. Again, from Simon Jones's piece, Laurie Whitwell said that Liam Delap is Manchester United's #1 striker target. So, you know, Laurie Whitwell sticking with his guns. He said that before, that, you know, he did actually say last week in a video, and shout out to him, that, you know, Cunha and Delap were United's kind of, you know, preferred kind of targets as well. And just a quick shout out, actually, Ben Jacobs was pushing very hard for the Matheus Cunha news. He was the one that was going in really, really heavy on that one as well. So obviously looks like he was, you know, a little bit ahead of the game with the whole kind of Matheus Cunha news, which kind of blew up, what, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I think it was now. But that's interesting regarding Delap. Sam C said that work continues behind the scenes to decide which striker to move for, with Liam Delap being favoured among some senior board members. So it could be, you know, going off of those reports, Delap and Cunha. I'd be cool with that as well. But then if we get Champions League, maybe it's Osimhen and Cunha, which I would be even cooler with. But again, a lot of the Osimhen deal depends on the wages. That's the problem with Osimhen, is the wages. But we'll need to wait and see what kind of happens as well. But either way, you know, they're addressing the issue, which is the forward line at United, which is all we can ask for. Let's improve that area, get somebody in that's a little bit more experienced. You know, Matheus Cunha is exactly that. I think he's a good fit for the kind of team and the system and stuff as well. And then if you get a less experienced but someone that scored goals in the Premier League like a Liam Delap, then I'm cool with that as well, because like I said, you could rotate Cunha up front and Delap up front as well, so I'd be kind of cool with that. But give us your thoughts on all of that in the comments. Now, Manchester United are considering triggering Franco Mastantuono's £38 million release clause. Now, that came from a journalist that's actually very close with Tottenham. Tottenham were also believed to be in the race for Mastantuono. In the past, we've had Real Madrid, Barcelona, the Milan club, AC Milan, I think it was, all interested in this boy. He's very, very highly regarded, very kind of talented. We have been linked with him multiple times in the past. You know, he's only 17 years old, doesn't turn 18 though until August, which with Brexit rules, we can't sign players from overseas until they turn 18. Does that give us a bit of a disadvantage? Could we do his release clause and then loan him back for a season? I don't think we're in a position financially where we could spend £38 million on a player. That's like a Kenda type deal, isn't it? What Chelsea did with Kenda, and I don't think we have the funds available to do that. You know, United just getting used for clicks and contract talks with agents and stuff as well. But he is very, very highly regarded. I don't think this will be the last time we'll be linked with Mastantuono. £38 million, the release clause, you know, does seem a little bit excessive, but he is very, very highly regarded. You know, he's been dubbed like the next Messi and stuff, although you know, take that with a pinch of salt by some reports as well. But, you know, that's maybe Tyler Dibbling money. That's more than what Ryan Cherky would cost. But again, if it's the profile of player that they're looking for, not necessarily just the, you know, not just the asking price, although that's obviously important as well. But I'd need to see a bit more credibility, and, you know, maybe that is one that, because we know we might look at 3 attackers if we get Champions League football. So maybe he could be the third if Tyler Dibbling, you know, if we get priced out of Tyler Dibbling, or someone else comes in for Tyler Dibbling and outbids us, and, you know, maybe he's being brought in as a kind of like an alternative to him, possibly. But we're going to wait and see what happens. Mastantuono, but again, he is definitely a player of interest with us in the past. Now, Manchester United have contacted 18-year-old Enzo Canabayak's camp, also highly interested in Zadid Bafdili, 17-year-old midfielder. Both are out of contract in June. So Sully Talks, jumping in on the story I brought to you yesterday regarding Enzo, but then also suggesting we're interested in another young midfielder, plays for Genk, I think it is, very highly regarded defensive midfielder. Belgium, I don't know much more than that on these kids, but both are out of contract in June. So these are ones that are free transfers, very highly regarded. Again, we're going to be looking to do this. We're going to be looking to poach all these kind of young players and youth players around to bring them in to develop them a little bit like we did with Kone and Diego Leon and all these kind of players, and that we're kind of looking to bring in to boost the youth team with an aim to either get these players ready for the first team and see what they're about. And if they make it, then brilliant. We've done a fantastic bit of business. And if they don't, and you can sell them for a profit, that's PSR rules. That helps us massively as well. And there's a benefit to doing that as well. So I'm not against doing these sort of deals. In fact, I wish we would have been doing this. This is what we used to do, is go and get all the kind of best young players around and put them in the youth team and see what they're about. And this is exactly going back to doing that as well. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. And then obviously a lot of our incomings might depend on exits as well. So Simon Jones in his piece, going back to that, said that Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Anthony, Casemiro and Alejandro Garnacho could all be sold this summer, but realising their optimum value will not be so easy. So Simon Jones putting the kind of, again, usual suspects on the exit list: Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, Casemiro, Garnacho. But yeah, usual suspects on there as well. And obviously we do know if we sell some of these players, not just the kind of transfer fees, we're going to get the wages off the book is huge, which means we can invest more in the squad as well because of PSR and stuff. But yeah, we'll see how that kind of goes. And then the final story I've got for you is Victor Lindelof's wife has revealed that her husband left the match against Lyon abruptly after his son was hospitalised after a split in his skull after a fall. The operation went well. So, just to clarify, because obviously Lindelof had to leave. Mazraoui, no clarity on why Mazraoui had to leave neither as well, but both were for family emergencies. So shout out to Lindelof and staff. Generally pleased to hear that his son's, and it was nothing kind of, well, it sounds serious, but nothing too serious, nothing that hasn't been kind of sorted, and heaven forbid, I wouldn't want to wish that on any person, any human being. So shout out to Victor Lindelof in that as well. Just thought I'd give a bit of clarity in around what kind of happened with the game against Lyon there. But give us your thoughts in the comments, and then give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.